Hi, this is the video lesson for our Grammar 1 class today. Today we're going to talk about coordinating conjunctions. Coordinating conjunctions. So what we know about conjunctions of different kinds is that they join things together. Remember, con is Greek or Latin root that means together or with. And junc, J-U-N-C, is, I think, a Latin root that means join or link, connect or link or join. So we join things together, we link things together, we connect things together. There are different kinds of conjunctions. So far this semester we've talked mostly in writing class about coordinating conjunctions, about subordinating conjunctions, about conjunctive adverbs. We've talked about all these different kinds of conjunctions. But today we're going to just stick to coordinating conjunctions. There are only 7 in English, and we can use this little memory trick to remember them. We remember fanboys, F-A-N-B-O-Y-S, fanboys. That's for, and, nor, but, or, yet, or so. Those are all the only coordinating conjunctions in English, so we can easily use this memory trick to remember them all. All right, so what we want to do today is think about how we use each of these coordinating conjunctions. But first of all, I want to say that we want to remember what coordinating conjunctions do. They join things together. What do they join together? They join together single words or phrases or clauses. So here's an example. The stew was hot and delicious. Hot and delicious. This and joins together those two describing words, right? Single words. Here, Rudy, it should say Rudy. Rudy loves, I think that said Rocky. Rocky, yeah, that's a cat. Rocky loves this, having his head scratched, but he hates getting his claws trimmed. So, having his head scratched is a phrase. It's a group of words with no subject and predicate. Getting his claws trimmed is a phrase. Hates, so loves having his head scratched is a phrase. Hates getting his claws trimmed is a phrase. Right? So not clauses. And this but is connecting those two clauses together. Or what is being connected could be a clause. Remember, a clause is a group of words with a subject and a predicate. So Rocky ignored his food. So here's a subject and a predicate. Rocky ignored his food is a main clause, because it's a group of words with a subject and predicate that can stand alone, expresses a complete idea. And I got a spoon to feed him, subject, predicate, group of words with a subject and predicate, expresses a complete idea. So this so is joining these two main clauses together. Okay, so remember, coordinating conjunctions can join single words, phrases, or clauses together. All right, I'm going to get rid of this. Now let's think about how each of these coordinating conjunctions is used. How do we use each of these? All right, so I've got, this is on your handout, but I'm going to state it in a slightly different way here for us. So let's start with and. We use and when both things that are being joined together are equal, where they're the same, where there's no contrast, no difference. They're not different things. So I can say, or we can say both of them are correct. Both are correct. So I can say, for example, The stew was hot and delicious. The stew was hot and delicious, right? So this and this, it's both of these things. There's no difference. There's no contrast. They're equally good. They're the same. So we use and. I can say I'm going to take my sweater and my jacket. I'm going to take both. No difference between them. They're the same. They're equal. I'm going to take both of them, my sweater and my jacket. Okay? Now, we're going to come back at the end of this list and talk about nor, because nor is a very weird word, but nor is very much like and. Just keep that in mind, and we'll come back to it. Okay? Now, or is different. Let's talk about or. Or, with or, we mean not both. We mean one or the other. Not both, like with and. So in this case, I would be saying, I'm going to take my sweater or my jacket. Not both, right? Not both. One or the other. My sweater or my jacket. All right, now those are pretty easy. We use those all the time. We have a great sense as speakers of English when we use one and when we use the other. But then let's move on to some others. But and yet. But and yet can be used almost as synonyms, almost as exactly the same word. So we use but or yet when there's a contrast, when things are different from one another, right? So I would say the stew was delicious, but too hot. So this was good, but this was bad. There's a contrast between them. One's good and one's bad. Now I could use yet in exactly the same way. I could say the stew was delicious, yet too hot. Okay? So but and yet mean enough of the same thing that we can almost always use them interchangeably. All right? So the next ones I want to look at are okay. So wait, let me cross this out and put so and for up together because they're like one another. So when we use so, the first thing causes the second thing. The first thing is a reason for the second thing. The first thing is a reason for the second. We can also say the first thing leads to the second. All right, now, so for example, we would say he was hungry, so he ate all the cake. So here's one thing, he was hungry. Here's another thing, he ate all the cake. This thing, being hungry, caused him to do the second thing. being hungry is the reason why he ate all the cake. Being hungry leads to him eating all the cake. So is always like this. It's always the first thing in the that's being joined causes the second thing. Whereas for is just the opposite. For means the same thing as because. But for is a coordinating conjunction, and because is not a coordinating conjunction. It's a different kind of conjunction, a subordinating conjunction, which we'll talk about in a different lesson. So with for, the second thing causes the first. The second thing is the reason for the first. The second thing leads to the first. So if I said, he ate all the cake, for he was hungry. He ate all the cake. He ate all the cake for he was hungry. So the first thing is the reason for, the second thing causes the first thing with for. The second thing, he was hungry, that caused him to eat all the cake. He was, leads to, he was hungry, that led to him eating all the cake. He was hungry, that's the reason for eating all the cake. So depending on which order we put them in, we can use so when the first thing causes the second. We use for when the second thing causes the first. We'll talk about nor separately in just a minute. I'm going to stop the video here, come back.